He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, you're not overly ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. Welcome on into a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. You could always get at me on Instagram where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Or you can find me on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. And whether you're watching us live now on YouTube or you're consuming us after the show does end, as we are live Monday through Fridays right here on 365 Sports from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time. But whether you consume us in podcast form afterwards or you watch us back live on YouTube once our show does conclude, make sure you go to youtube.com/@365SportsYT, youtube.com/@365SportsYT, and make sure you subscribe. Femi Ambadejo is going to join us coming up at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 30 minutes from now. Former Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl champion running back. He will discuss the Baltimore Ravens in free agency. They made a huge move late Friday night, trading for Maxx Crosby while giving up 2 first-round picks. We also saw their center from a year ago, Tyler Lindenbaum, did just sign a massive 3-year contract, not to go back to Baltimore, but to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. So we will chat all things Baltimore Ravens. A ton of pressure on Lamar Jackson now, even with the new head football coach coming on in Jesse Minter, but an enormous amount of pressure on Lamar Jackson. When you look across the landscape of the AFC, questions about the Patriots, if they could return to the Super Bowl as they were a surprise team a year ago. You look at the Denver Broncos. Are they great, or are they just a very good football team? The Chargers have postseason issues. You go through Kansas City, always a foregone conclusion to be in the postseason, be in the AFC Championship game, be in the Super Bowl, and also potentially winning the Super Bowl. Well, after getting rid of, or after going through a season where they did not make the playoffs, now there's a lot of questions there. I know they signed Kenneth Walker today. We'll get into that in just a bit. But they've lost 2 members in their secondary, one via trade to the Rams, one via free agency signing to the Rams, with Jalen Watson going to L.A. today, and then also, obviously, a few days ago, Trent McDuffie getting traded to the L.A. Rams. So there's a lot of questions surrounding the Kansas City Chiefs, and you look in the landscape of the AFC, Buffalo's already made a big move, going out there and getting DJ Moore to help bolster that offense, with Josh Allen leading the way. And then the Ravens make the biggest move so far of the offseason by going and trading 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. So there's a lot on the table, and we'll continue to, as I just see, Wan'Dale Robinson, according to Adam Schefter, is signing with the Tennessee Titans. So that is not a surprise. That was heavily speculated in the last few days. Wan'Dale Robinson, the former Kentucky wide receiver with the Giants the last few years, now he gets paired back up with Brian Daboll, who is the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Robert Saleh is the head coach, and Cam Ward is obviously the quarterback. So another weapon there for Cam Ward in Tennessee in getting Wan'Dale Robinson. I also do see that former Jaguars running back, according to Adam Schefter, Travis Etienne is going to be signing with the Saints. Now, Garrett, I think this is very interesting. And Garrett Ross, obviously, is in our Waco, Texas studios. He's going to kind of be my extra eyes and ears today. He is locked in on Adam Schefter's Twitter. He is locked in on Ian Rappaport's Twitter. I think he has the tweet deck up where he's got about 45 insiders up there, even the Fugazi insiders. Yeah, Garrett Ross is covered on all these insiders, and hopefully doesn't give us any misleading news, or as they say these days, fake news. But in the running back market today, and this is not where I thought I would start the show, but let's get there. And we'll get to Alec Pierce re-signing with the Colts and what that means for Daniel Jones and some others, and Malik Willis going to the Dolphins in just a bit. But we saw Kenneth Walker go to the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a 3-year deal worth $45 million, 28.7 guaranteed. Carrington Harrison, who was on with us last week, he said the Chiefs are going to be heavily interested in Kenneth Walker. So they've agreed to terms with Kenneth Walker. Nothing could be official until Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, but this is the legal tampering window. So not only did you have Kenneth Walker go to the Kansas City Chiefs, but then you also just had Travis Etienne go to the Saints. Now, I don't have the numbers on Etienne. The news is just breaking as we speak. But my first reaction when we found out that Kenneth Walker was going to the Chiefs was two things. One, Carrington Harrison was all over it.
Yep.
And two, that out of the market with the 9th overall pick for Jeremiah Love, which probably means that the Chiefs did not anticipate that Jeremiah Love was going to be there. So why did the Chiefs anticipate that Jeremiah Love was not going to be there? Well, everyone and their mother basically told us that if the Saints, who are picking right in front of them at 8, if Jeremiah Love is there, they're going to take him. Now, we've seen a lot of running back by committee in this league. I'm not saying that Travis Etienne is this great back, but depending on what the numbers are, and I have not seen what the numbers are yet with Travis Etienne, I'd be curious to see if, number one, if Jeremiah Love is even there with the 8th overall pick, but then if he is, because of going on out there and getting Travis Etienne, does that maybe take the Saints out of the market, or maybe the Saints go elsewhere for a different area of need?
I think to me, when that indicates that they kind of got some wind that Love is not going to be there, they needed to pivot. And I think this is them just kind of getting their ducks in a row. You still have Alvin Kamara there. I mean, just kind of it's kind of hit or miss with what he's going to bring at this stage in his career. But
and they restructured his deal, Kamara, too. So he's staying.
Yeah. So he's staying. I think this is a good fit. I think it's a good tandem. I wouldn't be surprised if they added somebody else, but I'm kind of leaning that it's probably not going to be Love at this point with this acquisition by the Saints.
So I'm trying to think then, where does Love go? Because I'm going to assume that he's not there at 8.
Right.
I'm going to assume he's not there at 9. 8, he still may potentially be there. The Raiders obviously are taking Mendoza. The Jets are going to take a pass rusher. I don't think the Cardinals are going to take him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tennessee could have 4.
They could.
Especially with I think they're having a new stadium right around the corner. If you need another building block and a marketable name, Jeremiah Love is there. I know that the Giants were also in on Kenneth Walker. Maybe the Giants end up going and taking Jeremiah Love 5th overall. Would it shock you if Cleveland did it? Yes, because they just drafted Quinshon Judkins, so I don't think it would be Cleveland. You look at the Commanders, your football team, that's out of the realm of possibilities. Could you imagine you put Jeremiah Love with Jaden Daniels?
Oh, dude.
That would be fun to watch.
And honestly, like with the talks of Brian, with Brian Robinson's career kind of coming to an end there, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of made that deal. I think it would be good to set up the future. I don't necessarily think that's what they're going to do. I feel they're going to lean defense, whether it's shoring up somebody, one of these linebackers, or grabbing Caleb Downs. But that would actually be a really intriguing fit if they were able to pull the trigger and do that. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
The Chiefs, by the way, are signing Kairos Tonga to a 3-year, $21 million deal. That's $14 million guaranteed. Oh, that's one I'm devastated about. I really do like Kairos Tonga with the Patriots last year. By the way, we have the numbers. Travis Etienne, according to Adam Schefter, got a 4-year, $52 million contract. So, yeah, Garrett, you could cross Jeremiah Love off the board for the Saints, and you could cross Jeremiah Love off the board for the Chiefs. And I'm going to say the earliest he goes is probably to Tennessee 4. The latest he goes is to the Commanders with the 7th overall pick. And if it is the Commanders, look at this league, by the way. You got Lamar Jackson with Derrick Henry. You got Jalen Hurts with Saquon Barkley. That pairing of mobile quarterbacks with a strong running back, you get down into the goal line, and you have no clue who the ball's going to go to. Right. Because you could do a lot of RPO. You could hand the ball off to Love, and he could obviously get in the end zone. Then Daniels could take it himself and then tuck out and run or throw the football. That is a formula that, yes, I get it. The Ravens haven't won a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. The Eagles have won a Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley. But if you properly build that thing, that is something that is very difficult to defend if the Commanders go on out there and they end up drafting Jeremiah Love. So The Chiefs, they elected to go get Kenneth Walker. The Saints elected to go get Travis Etienne. I think both those teams kind of anticipated after the combine, Garrett, that Jeremiah Love just was not going to be there with the 8th or 9th pick in the NFL draft.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I think that's just kind of the writing on the wall here. And I'll be interested to see, because I know Washington has addressed some secondary issues already once today. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm really interested to see how they handle this, because if they grab Jeremiah Love, I would be all for that.
Okay, let me get to Malik Willis, and then we'll get into Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones and Michael Pittman, because there's a few domino moves that have happened in Indianapolis. There was all this speculation right when Malik Willis, or right when John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley were hired by the Miami Dolphins, that they were going to go make a move for Malik Willis. But then right after the combine, there was a lot of people, including Matthew Berry, who kind of got the ball rolling, that it's not a foregone conclusion that Willis is going to go to the Dolphins and take a look at the Arizona Cardinals. Remember, Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother, is now the head coach in Arizona. So there was a lot of momentum in the last week or so of Malik Willis winding up with the Arizona Cardinals. But when this legal tampering window did open today at 12 p.m. Eastern time, shortly after it, we got the alert that Malik Willis is going to the Miami Dolphins reportedly on a $67.5 million contract. It's over 3 years, and $45 million of it is guaranteed. And it's kind of crazy, because you're going to look at that numbers, and those numbers you're going to say, oh, like with how little he's played, aren't those pretty strong numbers? Aren't those pretty lucrative numbers? At one point, the report was that he was going to get at least $30 million a year. So for it to be $67.5 million over 3 years, this is a move that indicates to me that it's a fine risk for the Dolphins. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to tell you that Malik Willis is going to be the stud quarterback in the NFL. He's the third quarterback in that division right now. Obviously, you got Josh Allen and Drake May in the division. The Jets don't have a clue what they're going to do at quarterback. Maybe it's going to be a reunion with Geno Smith all these years later, and that's just a stopgap. But Malik Willis going to the Miami Dolphins on a 3-year contract, $45 million guaranteed, $67.5 million total is what the early reports are. It's a fine first shot by John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. This is a player they're familiar with, going back to their days in Green Bay just this past season. This was something that was highly rumored to end up happening. I'm not a huge believer in Malik Willis, but we've seen a trend recently of quarterbacks that get drafted early, quarterbacks, and I know Malik Willis was 3rd-round pick, but quarterbacks that earlier on in their career, they don't really stick. And then when they get another opportunity elsewhere, that's when they end up finding a way to have success. And you have Jalen Waddle there in Miami. You also got Devon Achane, and it doesn't appear like Jalen Waddle or Devon Achane are going to be traded. And this is a player that they're familiar with. And here's the biggest thing. For a quarterback, and we're talking quarterbacks are different than every other position, guaranteeing $45 million. And I know they just released Tua Tagovailoa, and there's rumors that Tua is going to land in Atlanta when the new league year does begin on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. But when you only guarantee a quarterback $45 million a year, and I know they just got out of the Tua situation, but they had to pay a whole lot of money. But when you get out of a quarterback situation, you look at it, $45 million guaranteed over the stretch of 3 years, that's not the end of the world. Where John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, if they did sink a lot more money for Malik Willis, and I know some people may think this is an overpay, but if they paid even more of a king's ransom, this could have been their one and only quarterback shot and their one and only opportunity to go pick their quarterback. If the Dolphins are as bad as what a lot of us think they're going to be this year, and let's say Malik Willis doesn't impress you, doesn't wow you, you could do one or two things at the end of this 1 year. I know it's a 3-year contract, but a 1-year experiment with Malik Willis. And actually could do 3 things. One, you could see the team not play well, or the team could play well, right? Either way, and you could keep Malik Willis. 2, you could be picking early in the draft, and then off of that, you could take a quarterback, not play that quarterback right away, have him sit for the majority of his first season, continue to rock and roll with Malik Willis, and then you get rid of him after year 2, or you have him be a backup, right? Like, going into at the end of year 2 or maybe into year 3. So there's a few things here where just because they go out and give Malik Willis a 3-year contract, it does not lock them in long term. And I do believe that when you look at John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, they will have an opportunity by only giving Malik Willis. I know people are going to say only Zach, like, come on, that's still a lot for a guy that's done nothing. But I thought the numbers were going to be crazier from what some of the reports indicated last week. It's 3 years, $67.5 million, 45 guaranteed. If it works, you get a bargain. If it doesn't, you'll have the luxury to go ahead and pick a quarterback in the draft. So John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, I'm not big believers in them. I'm not a big believer in Malik Willis, but you'll roll the dice here. And ultimately, I do think with the way that this contract is laid out and the way that it's reported, they will probably be drafting another quarterback, not in this year's draft class, in all likelihood 2027, or in the last resort 2028 for that draft class. And I do believe that this regime of John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley will end up taking another quarterback down the road. You'll see if it works with Malik Willis. Maybe he's a Sam Darnold. Maybe he's a Baker Mayfield. But if not, this is manageable. And I know it may sound crazy to say that this is manageable considering they just got rid of Tua. And I was someone at the time, I said, do not pay Tua. Do not give him the extension when they did. But I do not have an issue with giving Malik Willis this contract because of the familiarity that the GM and the head coach do have. Now, you could have familiarity with the player and it may not work, right? Malik Willis has not done enough in the NFL for me to give him the benefit of the doubt, for me to guarantee to Dolphins fans and tell you this guy is going to be successful, but there's familiarity. The contract, considering the position, isn't that much of a mess, where if he does flop and you assume the worst and he does not succeed, there are ways where you'll draft a quarterback and you won't be crushed like you were with the Tua situation when you look at the numbers here on the Malik Willis contract. Now, I'll tell you, I thought one of the big surprises to kind of kick off this free agency, and I don't know where you stood on this one, Garrett Ross, but were you surprised that Alec Pierce ended up re-signing with the Indianapolis Colts? Like, I'm not surprised on the numbers, $116 million over 4 years. You knew that he was getting at least $25 million. There was reports that it was going to be $30 million, like in that range. So it's in range of what he was going to get. But once the Colts didn't tag him and he did that interview with Kay Adams that we played some of those excerpts and snippets of it, it appeared like Alec Pierce's market was going to be so robust that he was going to have an option to go elsewhere. And there was a lot of heavy suitors, but ultimately he elected to stay in Indianapolis. I was surprised that he stayed in Indy.
I'm honestly kind of surprised a little bit, given that he could have gone and played with a better quarterback somewhere, but I don't know what his personal goals are in his career. Was this a money thing where the Colts put a package together that he couldn't just back away from, that he elected that I need this, I'm going to stay here and stay pat and ride this out? But I am kind of surprised he didn't test the market, given his talent and all the smoke last week about how his availability would have drawn the attention for plenty of suitors out in the league.
Well, I think he sort of tested the market. Now, I was reading from a Colts reporter, Destin Adams, I believe it was.
Right.
I was reading that they agreed to this morning. So technically, teams weren't allowed to have contact with him until 12 p.m. Eastern time. Let me let you in on a little secret. When you have to call this a legal tampering window, there is tampering that goes on before the legal tampering. Like right at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, how he had a slew of contracts that they're not technically signed. Like last year, Milton Williams went to the Carolina Panthers, was reported, and by the end of the day, he was a New England Patriot. But for Alec Pierce, him staying in Indianapolis isn't necessarily that he didn't test the market or, I think he could have got more money. It shows me that he was really happy in Indianapolis, and he developed this chemistry and this synergy in the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season before Daniel Jones got hurt, and he really likes Daniel Jones. But here's what I don't get. And hey, when you are Alec Pierce and you're a second-round pick, you've had 1,000-yard season, you have a lot of potential, you're promising. When you sign a contract for $116 million over 4 years, it's tough for me to criticize your decision. But I will say this. You could have got that money elsewhere. You could have probably got more elsewhere, and you could have played with the better quarterback. You could have. Daniel Jones is still an unknown. And I know you had a great 8 to 10 game relationship with Daniel Jones, and the deep ball connection worked out really well. And Alec Pierce is a player that's on the rise, and he's a player that you're not paying for what he did in the past. You're paying for what he's going to do in the future. And he could go on to have a very successful NFL career. But when I look at the Colts quarterback situation, I don't think it's stable. And I don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones. I read one report this morning that he wants like $50 million a year, but the Colts are only willing to give him a Baker Mayfield or a Sam Darnold contract, which is roughly $30 million a year over 3 years. I don't know what the future of Daniel Jones is. And here's the other thing. Even if they pay him or they just ride up the transition tag, which if I'm Indianapolis, I would just ride up the transition tag with Daniel Jones, unless if he's willing to take a Baker Mayfield or a Sam Darnold deal. I don't know if Daniel Jones is ever going to be consistent. The guy has been a wildly inconsistent quarterback. The only thing that's been consistent about him is that he's always hurt. So yes, there are moments like through the first 8 or 10 weeks of the season where he looked like he could be the MVP of the league. And we saw him have another really good year with the Giants. But outside of that, there's been a lot of bad football. And he suffered an abundance of injuries. So the thing that's perplexing to me about Alec Pearson, clearly he loves Indianapolis and he wanted to stay and he has a good relationship with Daniel Jones. You could have got just as much money, if not more money, and you could have gone elsewhere, like New England, let's just say, and play with a much better quarterback like a Drake May. So that's the stunning part to me with Alec Pierce, is that the Colts let him have an opportunity to go elsewhere, and they didn't end up tagging him, and they were running that risk, and he still came back to a place where the quarterback position, ever since Andrew Luck elected to retire, has just been like a turnstile in Penn Station pre-COVID. That's what it is with Alec Pierce. So congratulations to Alec Pierce, but I am surprised that he stayed with Indianapolis, and I think he could have got paid and also had a much better quarterback throwing him the football. Now, I'll be curious, Garrett, what the Colts end up doing with Daniel Jones. So he's on the transition tag. Like, it seems, if that Albert Breer report is true, it seems they're very far off, where they just want to give him $30 million a year, and he wants like $50 million a year. So you're almost $20 million a year off per year, depending on how accurate those numbers are. Indianapolis would be effing crazy if they gave Daniel Jones a 3 or 4 year extension for $50 million a year. It's like, didn't you learn just what happened with the Giants and what they did? Like, why would you do that?
I wouldn't do it. If I'm them, I would try to like run it with Geno or something and just let it be. It just kind of go from there, because I feel more confident in bringing him in than I do with doing this with Daniel Jones, because to me, he's not a good NFL quarterback. You've kind of seen what you've gotten with him. So I'll be interested to see what they do. I feel like they're going to bring another quarterback in, though, to kind of shore up that room and push some people.
I don't know, though, if that makes sense, because you're bringing in Geno Smith to do what? The guy's on the transition tag. So,
Sure.
So unless if you're going to rescind the tag and just say, be on your merry way, and then maybe sign Kyler Murray, okay, like that. Okay. I would rather have Kyler Murray than Daniel Jones.
Oh, yeah.
But Shane Steichen really likes Daniel Jones. So I don't think that's what they're going to do, but I do believe the Colts should learn here. You don't have to do anything. You don't just need to pay the quarterback for the sake of paying a quarterback. You don't. You just because the quarterback wants money and he wants it now does not mean you need to pay him. He's getting, I think it's $46 or $47 million the moment he has to sign that transition tag. And here's the other thing. Other teams can go sign him if they want to right now. And then they'll have the ability to match it or not. But I don't think there was ever going to be a market really for Daniel Jones. The only team that I could see signing Daniel Jones, if let's say the Colts said they were going to tag Pierce, and clearly they signed Pierce a long-term extension today, so they didn't need to do this. But let's say they said, we are more fearful of losing Alec Pierce. We think his market will be more robust than Daniel Jones. Who was the team that was really lurking that could have stolen away Daniel Jones from the Indianapolis Colts? It's one team, in my opinion. And that team would have been the Minnesota Vikings. And even if that did happen, then you're Indianapolis. You could have signed Kyler Murray. I'm not thrilled with the future career of Geno Smith, but Garrett, to your point, they could have signed Geno Smith. But that's the part to me that I'm perplexed by with Alec Pierce. Sure, you get $116 million over 4 years. I know that you want to win, and I know you want to do certain things, and you had a good connection the first 8 to 10 games, and you could put the worst quarterback ever throwing the ball to me, Zach Gelb, if you're going to give me a contract for $116 million over 4 years. But he could have got that money, if not more money elsewhere, and he could have found more stability at the quarterback position. So what this move tells me is he never wanted to leave Indianapolis. And this whole thing with Kay Adams last week, where it seemed as if he wasn't talking all glowingly about Indianapolis, it was to kind of maybe move the Colts in a different direction, or just have them up the ante more on Alec Pierce. Now, in the aftermath of this Alec Pierce extension, and we talked about what this potentially means for Daniel Jones, Michael Pittman Jr., the USC product wide receiver, he ended up getting traded from the Colts to the Steelers for a swap of like late round draft picks or something like that. And then Michael Pittman Jr. actually signed a 3-year extension for $59 million with the Indianapolis Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. went through a lot of crappy quarterbacks. I know Phillip Rivers had a good season there. But after that, it's been a rotating door in the aftermath of Andrew Luck. Michael Pittman Jr. is a really good wide receiver in this league. And when I sometimes say this about wide receivers, they're 1.5. And what I mean by that is there's times they look like a number one. And there have been moments in Michael Pittman Jr.'s career where he looks like a number one. But then there's a lot of other times where he feels like he's a number two. So now he goes to Pittsburgh, where I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to return. You got Mike McCarthy running the show there as the new head football coach, replacing Mike Tomlin, who did resign. And you have DK Metcalf, and then you could put Michael Pittman as your wide receiver too. That's a good 1-2 punch at the wide receiver position. And it also sets the stage for life after Aaron Rodgers. I would think this would be the final year of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. And once Aaron Rodgers leaves, once he retires from the NFL and he claims that he's going to just go away, we're never going to hear from him again, which I don't believe. You have DK Metcalf on one side, Michael Pittman Jr. on another side. You could go sign a quarterback, trade for a quarterback, or draft a quarterback, and that young quarterback walks into a good situation where it wasn't, oh, you just take a 1-year flyer on Michael Pittman Jr., you then sign him to a 3-year contract extension, and they made the big move a year ago to go land DK Metcalf, and they also traded away George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. So this is a nice 1-2 punch with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Steelers definitely win a playoff game this year. I'm not even telling you they're going to win the AFC North, but they did improve their offense today at the wide receiver position, where they did find a very good option and a nice complement to go alongside DK Metcalf to help their offense. So that's basically the wide receiver position right now. Michael Pittman Jr. traded to the Steelers. Alec Pierce did re-sign in Indianapolis, $116 million over 4 years. And there's a lot of rumors out there on Mike Evans and what he's going to do. And the feeling right now, and let's see, because you get cold feet, you've been in one place your entire career, there's a lot of reports and a lot of speculation and rumors that Mike Evans is done in Tampa Bay and he's going to leave. Let's see if that is true in the 11th hour. I saw Peter Schrager was on with Pat McAfee, and he was saying that in the next few hours, we think we'll know where Mike Evans is going to be. I saw one report out there that a team is offering him a 1-year contract for $27 million. You had Peter Schrager, who's very close with Sean McVay, saying maybe the Rams are going to be in the mix for Mike Evans. So let's keep an eye on Mike Evans and where he's going to land. A Hall of Famer, a guy that's already won a Super Bowl, even though some talk show hosts don't know that, Jason McIntyre. If you know, you know. And maybe you could go out there and get another ring somewhere else. But I'll take a look. If the Rams go get Mike Evans, holy smokes. You got Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams is still there. You got Puka Nacua. If they can land Mike Evans, plus what they've done on defense with the two corners, McDuffie and Watson, who they got from Kansas City. Plus you have Quinn and Lake. You got Turner. You got Young. You got Fisk. You got Verse. The last 2 years, they've been very close. They lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. They lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. The Rams have been aggressive in this free agency. And if they go get Mike Evans, that would be something. But we don't know where he's going to go just quite yet. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. We'll take a timeout. Femi Alambadejo is going to join us on the other side. The Ravens over the weekend on Friday night traded for Maxx Crosby. They did lose on their offensive line, Tyler Linderbaum. He is going to be the newest member of the Raiders on a 3-year contract for $81 million, $60 guaranteed. We'll tap into the Ravens. Their new head football coach, obviously, is Jesse Minter. Lamar Jackson has a bunch of MVPs, but he's trying to get to his first ever Super Bowl and win his first ever Lombardi Trophy. We'll tap into the Ravens when the Zach Gelb Show continues on 365 Sports after these short messages.
The 4-burner, side sear burner with Clearview glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills. Made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area, with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
I'm Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very discreet.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
We were just talking about it right before we got to break about the future of Mike Evans, and it appeared likely that he was done in Tampa Bay. Adam Schefter, a minute ago, former Buccaneers 6-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Mike Evans is expected to sign a 3-year contract with the San Francisco 49ers. So it's an end of an era for Mike Evans in Tampa Bay. Now he gets to go out to San Francisco. You got Ricky Pearsall also there. I know Kittle's coming off the injury. You got Christian McCaffrey and also Brock Purdy. But that's a heck of a signing for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and company as they still try to keep pace with the other teams in the NFC and bring another Lombardi Trophy back to the Bay Area. And we know that there's been a lot of moves featuring the Baltimore Ravens so far this offseason. They made a huge splash on Friday. They did go out there and they acquired Maxx Crosby. They did lose Isaiah Likely to the Giants today. Tyler Linderbaum did sign with the Raiders. Let's talk some Ravens right now with the man that won a Super Bowl championship with the franchise. Femi Adebayo joins us right now. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. Femi, appreciate the time. How are you?
Zach, how's it going, brother? Hey, do you know what the value of that deal was with Mike Evans? Did the details come in on the cash?
Not yet, but I'm going to assume with it being a 3-year contract that it's going to be front loaded and probably a big total number for a player who is up there in age. But it's a good move. Without knowing what the exact numbers are, either way, San Francisco should be in a win now mode, and I like them going out there and acquiring a player like Mike Evans.
I mean, big body, red zone receiver, one of the best to do it, Hall of Famer. I'm a big fan of Mike Evans. I thought maybe a slight chance that some of that money that we've saved on Tyler Linderbaum, maybe that could have been repurposed toward a receiver. But I'm being greedy over here in Baltimore after some of the losses we sustained today. But all good.
Yeah, wide receiver with the Ravens. I know that they've tried in the draft with Rashad Bateman. They ended up getting Zay Flowers, who's been good for them. But they've brought in a lot of older wide receivers through the years. DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr. A name that I thought of for the Ravens may be Stephon Diggs, who could be coming on and who was released by the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't ever want to be negative about another former player. I know how hard it is to play, and I know that we're humans and we make mistakes. But personally, I think Stephon Diggs is radioactive in regard to his off the field stuff. It's a non-starter as a Raven. There's a code and a standard of behavior and a level of expectation, and to me, he's below the standard. I don't think he can be a Raven personally based on what's happened off the field and some of his issues. And I know that these are accusations, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And after his yachting incident and the statements that he made, I'm not going to repeat them. If y'all are curious, go find it. It's not hard to find on what he was saying and doing on that yacht last summer.
Yeah, and obviously we remember that story, and there's been stuff that has since come out there, probably a big factor on why New England did move on from him. You know, there's been accusations about Christian Barmore. He's younger, though. They're going to keep him around, but they did say goodbye to Stephon Diggs. But get him back, and I know we'll get into Crosby and all the craziness that has gone on with the Ravens.
For sure.
But what do you think they could do on the offensive side of the ball to help Lamar Jackson even more? Because for years I've been saying, hey, I want to see them go get a legit number one wide receiver. Do you think they have enough on offense, or is there still some work to do?
No, I think it's all about the offensive line. Look, I know that Zay is 5'10", not 6'2", 215, your prototype, but Zay over the last 2 years is 8th in receiving yards, ninth in receptions, and is a jitterbug. I mean, he's a number one receiver. I mean, there's 32 teams. How many number ones are there? If you look at his performance, he's been a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's been everything that the Ravens have asked him to be. He had an upward tick in production when everything else went south last year. Zay Flowers was the one kind of bright star. And Lamar's issue was injury related, and I think it was tied to the offensive line's play. You know, Lamar, even in a down year, you know, you can still look at the statistics overall and look at the number of games that he played at. You look at the touchdown to interception ratio, it was still 3-1. Yes, he was banged up. He didn't use his legs as much, but he just couldn't. So for me, the recipe for the Ravens with Lamar is that, and I always say this to anyone that asks, I'll take 5 Pro Bowl linemen over five Pro Bowl skill players with Lamar, and they'll be a number one seed. They've already done that twice. Most people can't even tell me who the receivers were in 2019 when the Ravens were the number one seed and lost a home playoff game to Tennessee. Now, they didn't play well that day, of course. And then once again, they had another chance as a number one seed to beat Kansas City, and they lost that game 17-10 because they abandoned the run. And obviously, Zay had the fumble at the goal line as he was scoring, and that ball was knocked out. So bad luck is part of it, but I don't think the Ravens need to do a whole lot to be right back in the mix that they're always in every single year. The Ravens are the third winningest team since their inception in 1996. And yes, have they won enough playoff games? No. Should they have a Super Bowl in the Lamar era? Absolutely. But there's a new regime in town, and I think defense is the bigger issue. The Ravens were bottom 5 in pass rush win rate. They're bottom 5 in sacks. But 2 years ago, they set a record for points allowed, sacks, and turnovers. That was just 2 years ago. You know, they were top 5 defense. I think people forget about that. So they're right on the cusp of doing what we always do. We will be a contender for the AFC North title. We will be, in my opinion, contending for the AFC Championship game once again. So it's not about skill players. I mean, it'd be nice to have some. You have the most devastating quarterback to ever put on a helmet. You have one of the best running backs to ever do it. You have a competent, very, very good tight end in Mark Andrews. You have a guy that is an unknown and a speed demon in Keaton Mitchell. You have a number one receiver in Zay Flowers. And if you can get Bateman to do what he did a couple years ago, where he had 700 yards and 9 touchdowns, I think people forget how powerful and stacked this team actually is when they're doing the right things. And I know memories are short in the NFL, and everyone's going to remember what happened last year and Lamar missing games. And you have people like Colin Cowherd and local media like Mike Preston throwing Lamar under the bus. Nobody is judged more critically, but people forget Lamar is the number 1 rated passing quarterback in NFL history with a 102.2 passer rating. The number 2 is Aaron Rodgers. So I feel very good about the direction the Ravens are going. I feel really good about the offense. Yes, there needs to be something done now at center. And I think they have a kid named Emory Jones Jr., who will be the starting right guard, in my opinion, who I think he came out of LSU. He had a shoulder injury, played a little bit this last year. He is a super athlete. I think he'll be the starting right guard. John Simpson was signed today, former Raven. He'll be the left guard. And now we've got to address the center position. And I would love a big kind of red zone, possession receiver. But yeah, I think I covered a lot of ground right there. Tell me what you think.
Well, here's the bottom line. The AFC is wide open. The Ravens are absolutely a contender next year. And I say this as a Patriot fan, but I look at this group and I see what they did getting Maxx Crosby for 2 first-round picks. That's what every team that is in win-now contending mode should do, and it's going to help that defense out that already has some pretty damn good players, one of them being Kyle Hamilton. I loved how the Ravens started this offseason going on out there and landed Maxx Crosby.
Yeah, when you think about what Maxx Crosby is, do you realize that this dude never plays with the lead? I mean, he is top 5 in sacks, number 1 in pressures, batted balls, tackles for a loss, total tackles at defensive end. He's top 5 in every one of these categories since he was a rookie out of Eastern Washington. He has more pressures than Myles Garrett does over the same time period. That's insane. Playing with the Raiders where he has nowhere to hide, nowhere to cover, he's getting double teamed. He's getting chipped. Do you know what's going to happen in this Minter defense? Look, I'm pretty sure Matt Abike is coming back. I'm also pretty sure Mike Green's going to improve. I'm sure you watched the Raiders-Patriots game. No offense to Patriot Nation and what y'all are doing. Congrats on a great season. But a lot of Ravens fans were pissed off about the way that game ended and how we handled that game. And part of it was that we gave up too many big plays late, and we stopped running the football with Derrick Henry. So I think the Patriots and the Ravens are going to be running into each other a lot over the next couple of years, and I'm here for it. And I think the move was necessary. And one more thing, people forget. When you trade away that number 14 pick and you trade away that what I'm going to call a number 30 pick for now, because if you don't make it to an AFC championship or a Super Bowl, what are we doing? And then the amount of money that the Ravens didn't spend on Tyler Linderbaum, we're talking about the Ravens saving $130 million in cap space over the next 4 years because of those two rookie draft picks and that Tyler Linderbaum deal. It's $130 million that can be redeployed in different ways. Some of that could go to a new deal for Maxx Crosby, and obviously Zay's deal is going to be up here soon. And then you can go out and maybe make another splash play or two. I call them tier 1 moves. You're going to be able to do that with some of that money you're going to be saving. People don't realize that there's 2 parts to the equation. You give up draft capital, but you also save money on the back end.
And the other thing is, and I think most Ravens fans are pretty fired up about this move, but for anyone that goes, you gave away 2 first-round picks, I sometimes think fans, when the team is good, they get too protective with draft picks. Like, they didn't have a good season last year. All right, so they give up the 14th pick for Maxx Crosby. That's fine by me. And next year, even if they don't make the championship game, let's say they just have a fine season, they get upset in the first round of the playoffs, that pick's like 26, 25. So am I giving 14 and 26 and 25 for Maxx Crosby?
Yeah, every day.
10 times out of 10. And I don't want your team to be that good.
Yeah, no, I understand.
but that one's just obvious to me. All right, Minter coming in. I thought Minter, whenever there was those rumors, maybe go back to Michigan, I said, no chance. He's a shoo-in to be an NFL head coach. I thought the timing was right to move off of Harbaugh. Speak to me a little bit about moving off of the Harbaugh era and then going out there and bringing in Minter, who knows the team and knows the area well.
Yeah, you know what? I love Coach Harbaugh. I got to intern for him as a young retired player when I thought I wanted to coach potentially. My brother Brendan played for John for 5 years, has a Super Bowl ring with the Ravens. I played for Brian Billick. Obviously, I have a ring with the Ravens. My kids were born and raised here in Baltimore. We're from Northern California. I live in Baltimore. Did my MBA at Johns Hopkins. I live and work here. My kids graduated from high school here. So obviously, I love the Ravens. I'm highly affiliated with them. I've done the Ravens game day radio broadcast in the past for 2 or 3 years, still affiliated with the Ravens Legends community. Seeing Harbs go was difficult, but I think it was time. He'll do exactly what the Giants need him to do, which is set a culture and a tone for them to be good going forward for the next decade. But we needed fresh motivation. We needed fresh insight, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And what I love about Coach Minter's defense is the way he runs cover 2 and 4. Is still able to stop the run and create pressure using 4 guys on the rushing 4, not necessarily bringing more than 4. And also, too, his matchup zone concepts, which is something I had a big problem with the Ravens in regard to zone play over the last couple of years. I'd see guys dropping into zones, and there's nobody there. They're just dropping to open grass. For what reason? Why? Coach Minter is great with this kind of matchup zone concepts that he plays. And I think that the players are going to be eager to learn his new concepts and deploy them and use them. They've been frustrated too, because anyone that knows the Ravens knows that we're predicated on the run game, stopping the run, playing defense, and special teams. That's always who we've been. I know in the Lamar era, these offenses that we've had have been some of the best in NFL history. But even with that being said, It doesn't avert or change the fact that from a cultural perspective, we expect to play defense and run the football and be a good special teams organization. So I think Coach Minter kind of brings us back to that, and everyone is excited locally. And once we kind of flush the Harbs, kind of having to move past that, I think everybody's been really excited since Minter was hired and had his initial press conference.
What was the truth? And sometimes you're just not married to one person your entire life, and it doesn't have to be nasty in the end. But what was the truth with the Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson relationship and all that speculation about?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked. There was no problems. I mean, I have family. I have a girlfriend that I live with. I have best friends. We argue. We debate. I played in the NFL for 11 years. I've been a part of numerous locker rooms. I've had arguments with my head coach. The coordinator and the head coach have arguments. Like, that's part of a relationship. That's part of being in intense situations. It doesn't color the whole relationship. So this whole idea about there being some level of, diabolical disconnect between Harbs and Lamar, or between Coach Monken and Lamar, is just completely false. And, I'm at the Ravens facility quite a bit. I have a number of different people that I speak with and talk to. There was nothing odd or out of the ordinary about different, intense situations that come up between coaches and players. So I think it's a complete non-starter. I don't think it was an issue at all. And I don't think it had anything to do with Harbs leaving. If you listen to Steve Bisciotti's press conference, he basically said, look, I was sick of fourth quarter blown leads. I was sick of misusing our personnel. I was sick of the predictability on defense. We just underperformed. It was time for a change. And none of that has anything to do with the relationship between Lamar and John.
Femi Amadeo here with us. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. This sounds like a stupid question to ask because of how great Derrick Henry is. And anytime I see him in person, I'm still mesmerized that that dude is an NFL running back with just how large he is. And, running backs, right? They get to a certain age. People see them do something out of character. They're like, oh, that's it for their career. With the fumbling issue that we saw in the big spots last year for Derrick Henry, is there any concern amongst the Flock Nation with him, or is it, hey, that was just a one-year thing, he'll be fine?
So I want to say that in the last 2 years, Derrick Henry had 5 fumbles. 3 of them were in the first 3 games. You know what I mean? So it's a non-issue. Unfortunately, it was in really critical situations when 2 of those 3 happened, and you could say it cost us 2 games. But no, there's no concern. He's been durable. He's been a caretaker of the football, and he finished the season on a damn grind. I mean, did you see the game in Green Bay? Did you see what he did to the Packers? I mean, that's Derrick Henry. You got a firsthand look at what he did with the Patriots, right? I mean, how do you look in that game? You know what I mean? So that was toward the end of the season as well. So the fumble thing was earlier on in the season. It's a non-issue, and it was unfortunate, but that's football. Football, I always tell people, football's not about who plays perfect. Football's always about who makes the least number of mistakes. And every team's going to make mistakes in every single game. It's just like, when do they happen? Are they costly in regard to giving points away or taking points off the board for yourself? So, football is always going to be at every level about who makes the fewest mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen.
How do you look at the AFC North right now? Because from afar, I look at it and I say, this is a Ravens and Steelers race. We'll see if the Bengals could stay healthy, but even if they can stay healthy, their defense is a huge problem. And you look at the Browns, great defense, but bad offense. I know the Steelers went out there today and they got Michael Pittman Jr. It seems as if there's going to be a good fight this year for that AFC North crown once again between the Steelers and the Ravens.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. But, I still think the Ravens are the better team. And, if you watch both Pittsburgh and Baltimore games last year, you have to watch those games to see how those games went. They could have both easily went the other way, especially that last game, which was wild. I mean, you saw the missed field goal at the end and Lamar putting his cape on in the fourth quarter, and those throws that he made to Zay, just insanity. Great games, great competition. Obviously, you know how we feel about the Steelers. They're our arch nemesis. There's a lot of respect for them, though. I think they're going to be right there with Baltimore once again. And I'll say this about Cleveland. I think whatever Vegas has is their win total. Take the over, because Coach Monken they're going to win more games than people think with Coach Monken and Myles Garrett and that defense. And obviously Cincinnati's always going to be a threat on offense, but they've always got to win a shootout. Their margin for error is always going to be super negligible, right? Like it's going to be, some small amount. And because of that, they're probably going to hover around 500 again. And they got to keep Joe upright, that offensive line. I just don't know what they're going to do. They've got issues, but they decided to pay their skill guys. And unfortunately, that's not how you win in the NFL. It looks good. It's entertaining, but it's not how you win Super Bowls or win a division, in my opinion. So I think you got it right.
And you look at the pass rushers now in this division: Myles Garrett with the Browns, Maxx Crosby with the Ravens, T.J. Watt with the Steelers. That is AFC North football to a T.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's going to be fun. And I've seen a lot of memes getting posted on Instagram since the signing was made. And there's a bunch of funny ones. So I think everyone's been put on notice. And I think everybody knows the division was down a little bit last year, but it's never not physical, right? It's always going to be physical when you play Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. Like, that's the one thing you can guarantee. It's going to be physical games. So yeah, it's going to be a fun season.
I'll ask you two more, then we'll let you run. Femi Amadejo here with us. Does a great job, obviously, when the Ravens broadcast Super Bowl champion with the franchise. For players that left, let's start with Isaiah Likely. Clearly knows the head football coach in John Harbaugh. The Giants, they have Jackson Dart at quarterback. They also have Malik Neighbors coming off the injury. What are the Giants getting in Isaiah Likely, who's a player that I think has a ton of potential and could be very good down the road in the league?
Yeah, no, they're getting a dog. I mean, obviously, he's a big body. Like a big body receiver. His blocking's good enough, but he'll go to New York and he'll be the number one tight end, and he will help Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, and Malik Neighbors. They're going to be a handful on offense for sure. And obviously they got some names on defense as well, but I think the future's bright for the Giants. I really do. I think Harbs is going to instill something they haven't had, which is a bar and the mechanics of how you play pro football and what you're supposed to bring every day when you punch the clock and pack that lunch. I think they're going to be a problem. I don't know how quickly it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were 9-8 next year. I don't know if they're a playoff team just yet. I got to see a little bit more. I got to see who they draft. I got to see who else they bring in free agency. But I like what they're doing so far, and I think they got the right guy leading the team from a head coach perspective. Now one more thing. Jackson Dart, he needs to, come on, bro. You need to take care of yourself. This idea that you're going to run through everybody, you need to stop all that, because your career is going to last 5 years.
That 100% do agree with you on that. Now, it's just these things happen, right? The Ravens and Raiders make a trade, and then in free agency it opens up, or legal tampering, whatever we want to call this, and Tyler Linderbaum ends up going to the Raiders. Your reaction on the Raiders giving a big 3-year contract to him?
Yeah, I think that in my wildest dreams, I could not have predicted the amount of money they would spend. 3 years, $81 million. I mean, that's way, 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 way above any pay raise that I thought that Linderbaum would get at the center position. Creed Humphrey, his deal was, I think his average salary was $18 million. And at that time, the salary cap was $256 million. If you just take the percentage given to Creed Humphrey, which is about 7.4%, and you gave 7.4% of a $301 million cap to Tyler Linderbaum, that would have been about $21.4 million. He's making 27. You know what? That's like Deshaun Watson guaranteed money that he made when people were like, what are they doing? Why would the Browns do that? I'm wondering the same thing. And now, by the way, Deshaun Watson and Tyler Linderbaum, character-wise, couldn't be any different. And I hope Deshaun has rehabilitated himself, and I hope he goes on to play good football. Not too good against the Ravens, but the point I'm trying to make is that the amount that they overshot the equivalent salary with the pay raises is like they're giving him 10% of the salary cap, basically. I mean, 10% of your salary cap to the center. I mean, that's wild. So, hey, but you know what? The Raiders are doing Raider-type things, I guess you could say. If it pays off, no one's going to complain, but yeah.
The way I look at it, though, is when you don't have the most attractive home in the world or office, you maybe have to do some different things to get people to come on in. And they're bringing in Mendoza. They got Genti. They got Bowers. They probably don't get Linderbaum if they don't overpay for him, and they got to go protect that young quarterback they're drafting. Yeah,
they were the only team, in my opinion, that was going to pay that. And what's funny, Zach, is that what you didn't hear is I do a show every Saturday with Bruce Cunningham, 105.7 The Fan here in Baltimore. And I do a ton of different podcasts and stuff too. I drop in on different things. And I've been saying the whole time that I thought the Raiders were the only team that was really going to probably max out the deal and be the Ravens competitor in regard to salary. I thought that the Raiders would offer him, 24, 25. The Ravens would if they probably offered him 20 and meet in the middle and pay him 22, like, hey, you get to stay with the Ravens and play with Lamar and contend for a Super Bowl. The value of a Super Bowl into the future is worth whatever money you think you're going to lose. That Super Bowl is going to make you immortal in NFL history, like maybe more than one Super Bowl if you stay with Lamar. But when you get that amount of money offered to you, like, I can't blame Tyler either. Like, it was so far out there that I wasn't prepared. I don't think anybody was prepared for that. So, hey, kudos to him. But I get it.
Femi, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming on board with us and giving us a few minutes today.
Anytime, brother.
There you go. Femi Amadeo joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Here's a statement on Mike Evans' decision to depart Tampa Bay from his agent, Derek Gilmore. This is from Adam Schefter. After 12 remarkable seasons in Tampa Bay, Mike Evans felt a desire to challenge himself with a new chapter in the final stage of his career. Throughout his entire career, he has pushed himself to grow, compete, and evolve as a player, and this decision reflects that same mindset. Mike has tremendous love and respect for the Buccaneers organization, the Glazer family, and the coaches, his teammates, and especially the fans in Tampa Bay who have supported him since the day he was drafted. Tampa will always be home to him, and he's deeply proud of everything they accomplished together. He also has great belief in the future of the Buccaneers wide receiver room. Mike has tremendous respect for Chris Godwin and believes that Jalen McMillan and Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson are incredibly talented young players who will thrive as they continue to develop and take on larger roles in the offense. At this stage of his career, Mike's goal remains the same as they have always been, to compete for another Super Bowl, to play in an offensive system that challenges defenses and be in an environment where he continue to push himself and contribute at the highest level. The Buccaneers made it clear that they would have loved for Mike to finish his career in Tampa, potentially become just the fourth player in the franchise history to spend his entire career as a Buccaneer, and hopefully walk into Canton representing the organization. Mike Evans' decision to leave Tampa was never about the money. The Buccaneers were extremely aggressive in their pursuit, presented a very strong offer, demonstrating how much they value him and everything he has meant to this franchise. In the end, this decision simply came down to Mike wanting a new challenge and a fresh opportunity, while he still feels like he has a great deal left to give to the game. Tampa Bay will always be a special place for Mike Evans, and his respect and gratitude for the organization and its fans will never change. I don't know about you, Garrett, that's a lot. Like, yeah. I know it's coming from the agent. Is anyone sitting out there and saying, oh, this is egregious what Mike Evans did? He was great in Tampa Bay, was with them for a lot of crappy years, won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, has been there for 12 years. He's going to be remembered as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. They got a young wide receiver room. It's best for both parties, for him to go get more money, for him to go get a chance to go win another Super Bowl somewhere else and go to a contender, while Tampa Bay figures out what they have with these younger players. Like, I get it, the imaging and all that stuff, and players don't want to be the villain. I don't think anyone's looking at Mike Evans as the villain here. This makes sense. You're at the end of your career. You're on the 17th hole. You just teed off. You got the 17th, the 18th hole before you walk into the clubhouse. I don't think anyone's looking back at Mike Evans leaving Tampa Bay. It may be sad, but I don't think anyone's sitting there and is angry that this relationship is now over.
No, but I'm not surprised that somebody's having to put a statement out. Just people are crazy now, and these are the type of things that have become like the new norm. But no, you can't look at anything that Mike Evans did at Tampa Bay or everything he put into that franchise and think that he's gonna, like, his leaving is bad or anybody should be angry. I didn't know. You should be grateful for the time he put in there. You should be happy that he's going to go on and continue his success somewhere else. Yeah, you don't want him to win a championship, probably not. But at the end of the day, like, he did everything he could for your organization. He represented you on the highest level. To me, best of luck to you if I'm a Buccaneers fan. If
I'm a Bucs fan and Mike Evans, who just signed with the Niners, goes and wins the Super Bowl there, I'm happy. Like, yeah, I'd rather have my team go on out there and win the championship. But you look at the state of the NFC South right now, it's not good.
No.
Tampa Bay is fine. They could win that division. It's not going to be because they're any good. Carolina, did you see the deal that they gave to Jalen Phillips?
Yeah,
it's $120 million over 4 years. Now, Jalen Phillips, I was a big fan of his coming out of college, and he's had some successful seasons with the Miami Dolphins. He was recently reunited with Vic Fangio with the Eagles, but he's been hurt a lot. That's a ton of money. But you're a team like Carolina where, yes, you had money to spend, number one. Number two, you have Bryce Young, big year for him. You have Tedero McMillan, who just won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Derek Brown is on that defense. So they got some pieces there in Carolina, and they're being a little bit more aggressive because, like, let's be real. Winning a Super Bowl in the NFC South these days is just winning your division. and maybe winning a playoff game. And it's still like, hey, the Panthers gave the Rams all they could throw at them in that postseason game. The Falcons, it looks like they may potentially sign Tua Tagovailoa. I know they got Bijan Robinson, they got Drake London, and we'll see when Michael Penix Jr. comes back. But you look at the state of that division right now. The Saints, okay, they signed Travis Etienne today. You got Tyler Shuck, but you look at that division, it's not a good division. The division 8-9 just won that division. So for Mike Evans, you get an upgrade. You go to San Francisco, a place where the offense is good. We'll see when Kittle comes back after the terrible injury. Brock Purdy's your quarterback. He's solid. Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is one of the more explosive players in the NFL. Ricky Pearsall needs to stay healthy, but he's a solid wide receiver. So Mike Evans goes there, and he's going to get a ton of targets. And he's going to score a ton of touchdowns this year. I would be very surprised in that offense with Shanahan, with Purdy, the options that they have in the red zone. I'd be really surprised if Mike Evans isn't getting 10 touchdowns this year. So I thought it was the perfect time to move on. And yeah, you're going to the NFC. You're staying in the NFC where it's a gauntlet right now. The Eagles are a heck of a team. We'll see if they keep A.J. Brown. You look at the AFC North, the Bears, the Packers. We'll see what the Vikings do at their quarterback position. The Lions will be on the rebound. And the NFC West is loaded. Seahawks, even though they lost Kobe Bryant today to the Chicago Bears. You got the LA Rams. You got the Niners. This is a loaded conference. And the Niners, they're not a lock to go to the Super Bowl. They're not a lock to go to an NFC championship game, but they're a contending team. And do you have a better chance to go win a second Super Bowl in Tampa Bay or in San Francisco? It's not even close. In the year of 2026, it's the San Francisco 49ers. So I have no issue with Mike Evans leaving Tampa Bay and signing with the San Francisco 49ers. I will say, when Femi Amadejah was on with us, if Mike Evans could have gone to Baltimore, if you could have had Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson, hello. In a conference that's wide open, I think that would have been the better decision for Mr. Mike Evans, but I don't know, obviously, if the Ravens had any interest in Mike Evans. But I didn't think Mike Evans to the Ravens until you did have we just had Femi Amadejah on, and he just kind of brought that up, Garrett.
No, that was a really good point. I think he was excited for it. I think he would have enjoyed that to happen. It would have been phenomenal to watch Lamar work with Mike Evans. Like, the numbers they could have put up would have been ridiculous, but I think it's a good decision by Evans to go to 49ers. I think it's a really good fit for him. I think he'd have a lot of success out there. And just the way that organization is built, I think that that's kind of the perfect situation for him. Brock Purdy needs somebody like that. But I think it's a really great fit. I'm interested to see what he can do.
You know what I can't stand what ESPN does?
What's that?
So they had Pat McAfee on, and it was a fun show to watch today because they had Schefter, you had Dan Orlovsky, you had Peter Schrager. So it was very good to get news. They just started a new show, and it says breaking news. And I go, okay, like, what's the breaking news? I'm looking to the right. The Dolphins released Tua Tagovailoa. And then it's breaking news. Jalen Phillips signs a 4-year, $120 million contract. You know, there's ways to talk about that. Yes. And we're talking about those players as we speak. But breaking news, that's okay. No one, you're talking to someone that was not watching any football today, which maybe someone just turns on the TV right at 3. They love this show, NFL Live, and that's what they see it. But I wouldn't say that is breaking news whatsoever when it happened at least 3 hours ago. Now, let me get to Ian Rappaport. The Browns are signing guard Zion Johnson, formerly the Chargers, to a 3-year contract worth $49.5 million. I'm just trying to get to anything that we did not cover yet. The Bears continue to add on defense. Devin Bush, a little bit of a career turnaround for him after he was a disaster with the Steelers. 3 years, $30 million. Devin Bush going to the Bears. We told you about Mike Evans, with Mike Evans landing with the San Francisco 49ers on a 3-year contract. Tyler Shuck, very happy about the Saints getting Travis Etienne. He put out a tweet, "Who dat? Let's get to work." The Jets have agreed to terms with veteran defensive tackle David Onyemata on a 1-year, $10.5 million deal. David Edwards gets a deal worth upwards of $15 million a year. The Saints they signed the former Bills guard I'm just trying to see anything else. We told you about Kairos Tonga landing with the Chiefs and Wan'Dale Robinson. Here are the numbers. We told you about that right when we got on the air. It's 4 years, $78 million, 38 guaranteed. That reunites Wan'Dale Robinson with the Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator, former head football coach of the Giants in Brian Daboll. And then the other big signings, which are not breaking news, but just in case if you were not informed in the football world and you're just tuning into us today, Alec Pierce is back with the Colts, $116 million over 4 years. Michael Pittman Jr. was traded to the Steelers and then signed a contract extension for 3 years worth $59 million with Pittsburgh. Malik Willis is going to the Dolphins, $67.5 million over 3 years, $45 million guaranteed. Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, to the Chiefs on a 3-year contract, $28.7 million guaranteed. It's $45 million in total value. Travis Etienne, we told you, is going to the Saints. Tyler Linderbaum signing with the Raiders, 3 years, $81 million, $60 million guaranteed. We know the Raiders just got 2 first-round draft picks for Maxx Crosby as Maxx Crosby lands with obviously the Baltimore Ravens. We still got a lot more to get into, and we will continue after a few words from these sponsors. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports, as the legal tampering window has been open since 12 p.m. Eastern time, and it's been a chaotic day of news in the NFL.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, come on in.
Thanks. I'm having an issue with Ralph.
With Ralph?
He keeps stealing my lunch.
He's just researching new flavors.
That is slow smoked turkey.
Ralph steals my lunch all the time. You get used to it.
He also peed on my bag.
He is warming up to you. You know, starting a new job, it's a big change. I want you to think about how you can be more accommodating to Ralph. We're all co-owners here.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
What does being different mean to me? You know, that is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
But love is passion. Someone you can't live without.
What do you want? What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
You're muted.
Welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Can you not unmute me, Garrett, or am I only in control?
So I tried to, and it was only on you to control.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So can I tell you what had happened was?
Absolutely. Fill me in.
During the break, I had the sniffles, so I had to blow my nose. So I said, let me mute the mic. And then I just forgot to turn it back on.
I saw it, and I was like, damn it, I'm trying to press it.
Now, that could be in the world where I used to live in doing national radio. I always had someone turning my mic on and off for me. Now I got to make sure to just press that button so we don't end up getting there. I wonder if there's I'm sure there's been a show on this network where the host has not realized that he muted himself, and then they speak for 10 minutes and just never get their attention.
There was one a few months back. Yeah, there was an incident that happened very similar to that.
Was that in the building that you're in right now?
I believe it was in this building, and it was might have been during an interview. Yeah.
Oh,
it was entertaining to say the least.
I'll tell you a story that I had. This is, I think, when I was in high school. I was down at the Super Bowl, and I was interviewing Mike Haynes, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, and I'm doing a great interview with him. But I'm running my own board. I had a little mixer, and it's plugged into the computer. And for whatever reason, the headphones just weren't working. I couldn't figure out the headphones. So I unplugged the headphones, and I'm doing the interview, and I'm talking. I look at the board 10 minutes into the interview, and I see there's no levels going up. And then I unmuted the mic, and I got the last 3 minutes of it. And at the end of it, he goes, "Let me tell you, kid, you do a great interview." So at least I got that part. But no one heard the actual greatness of that interview that was there with Mike Haynes.
One of my biggest mess ups is it was about 3 years ago at Big 12 Media Days, and we had Dave Aranda on, and he came out. It was the comment that led to the shirts being made of the We Pay players. And Craig asked him, was like, "What's going into this? All these changes?" He's like, "Well, we're paying players now." It was just really blunt, and it was just very uncharacteristic. And we had that. Everything was going good. And I looked down, and it was one of those things where they brought him over in a hurry as we were setting up. And I didn't have the right settings inside of StreamYard. The whole interview was ruined. We never got to use it. It was so bad, dude. I was so devastated. It's so pissed off.
There's some that you survive. For example, Mike Haynes, I'll survive. You guys were the Waco, Texas station, and you had the coach of Baylor on.
Yeah.
Oh,
the boy messed that one up. And then, of course, the shirts are blowing up everywhere. People are asking, and like we could go back and kind of sync the audio, but yeah, I botched that one.
The other snafu that I had, and this was not on me, and it's tragic in terms of the setting. Not, an interview going wrong. It is what it is. Right after Kobe Bryant died. We were there Super Bowl week in Miami. And Steven Jackson was on with us. And he's given us a great 20-minute interview. And he's crying. Like, it is a very emotional interview. And the interview ends. And my producer goes, "You're not going to be happy." I go, "What?" He goes, "Because we weren't live. So we had this big set for CBS Sports Radio. And then across the way, there was a taping table for us.
Right.
So the producer would just call down the line and be like, "Hey, we got an interview coming on up." And they said, "Hey, no problem. Like, we're recording." There was an internet malfunction, I guess, on Radio Row. And I saw people were running around, but I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
Our internet went out.
That's
so that interview is what ended up messing it up. Outside of that, I haven't had any crazy things really where great conversations didn't end up making it to air.
I think they lost one. I was working the Super Bowl, but I was back in the radio station because we were working there. Like, the producer would stay back and they would go. They had a really good interview with Conor McGregor, like during his prime.
Oh, really?
And that whole thing got washed as well. There's been a couple of instances where things have gotten off the rails.
Yeah. I remember one other. I was interviewing Shannon Sharp. And in the middle of the conversation with Shannon Sharp, an engineer was in the studios in New York, but it was at that same Miami Super Bowl.
Right.
And they just switched
off
the board because they had the Brooklyn Nets broadcast. They just put the Nets on there, and I'm talking, and this is live on the air.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, Shannon Sharp is getting the Nets broadcast, and I'm getting the Nets broadcast. So those are some of the behind the scenes. That's how the
industry.
That's sometimes how the sausage gets burnt when you're making the sausage. So
one question for you before we continue. Do you have a favorite trade, or is there a trade today that stuck out to you so far?
Trade or signing?
Or signing that's happened so far?
I'm gonna say Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs.
That's the one that's mine.
The Chiefs needed to do something that would excite me. Like them bringing back Travis Kelce. All right. Did anyone think he was going to go? No. I do like that move of Kenneth Walker going to Kansas City because now they could use that 9th overall pick on maybe a wide receiver.
Yep.
Is it Mekhi Lemon? I don't think Carnell Tate will be available there. Could they use it on a lineman, or could they use it on a defensive player if you see one of those edge rushers fall, or if maybe you have Caleb Downs, a safety, fall? I thought Kenneth Walker was a good utilization of the resources where, I'm, as you say, I'm a stand for Jeremiah Love. I don't know if Jeremiah Love would have been there. So you go cover you cross your T's and dot your I's there with Kenneth Walker. And now you can use that 9th overall pick in a different way.
Yeah, I like that one too. That was the one that stood out to me the most. I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
I'll give you a one that I don't know if it leads all these shows that I really liked. Like clearly the Maxx Crosby one from Friday. That's a heck of a move for the Baltimore Ravens and a move that I respect greatly. I also really like the Isaiah Likely signing. I think the Isaiah Likely signing with the Giants is a heck of a move. Sure, as Femi Adebayo pointed out, Jackson Dart's got to learn how to slide.
Right.
But you bring in a player that has familiarity with Harbaugh. Cam Scatterbo coming back off the injuries. Your other running back that is there is another solid weapon too. Not that he's a great player, but he's a solid player and a young player. And you have Malik Neighbors, and then the intrigue of what the Giants are going to do with that 5th pick. Could they go Caleb Downs? Could they go Sonny Styles? I don't think they'll go with an edge rusher just because you have enough pass rushers there. They made the move for Burns, but if Bailey falls to 5 or Arvell Reese falls to 5, if any of these pass rushers do fall to 5, there's a chance that maybe they end up, Reuben Bain, maybe they go take them. But I like that move of Likely, who I think is going to be, he just got to stay healthy. And I think he's going to be a really good player in this league. And depending on what else the Giants do, if they go out there, the Giants, if I'm running the Giants with that 5th overall pick, and they may go defense here, but if they draft Carnell Tate at 5, or even Jeremiah Love at 5, if you draft Tate or Love at 5, and you put them in an offense with Isaiah Likely, with Malik Neighbors, that's a heck of a team. Like, I would not be opposed with the Giants with the 5th overall pick, even though they got a nice 1-2 punch at the running back position. And also they were in on Kenneth Walker, but he goes to Kansas City. I think the way the Giants should go this year is putting that young quarterback in a position to succeed. And you trust that Harbaugh is going to coach the recklessness out of him. He's going to just hammer it home, slide, protect your body, sometimes give up 2 yards and go down earlier so you can extend your career for a few extra years. But the Giants with the 5th overall pick, Garrett, like I'll ask you this. The Giants who signed Isaiah Likely today, if let's say the draft goes this way, Raiders are taking Fernando Mendoza 1. Then in at number 2, let's say the Jets go with Arvell Reese. Then in at number 3, let's say the Cardinals go with David Bailey. So let's say you have a quarterback and 2 edge rushers go in the first 3 picks. Then in at number 4, let's just say Tennessee takes an offensive lineman. Let's say they go Francis Mauanoa. If you have at that position, the Giants at 5, that you got Caleb Downs available, you got Reuben Bain available, you got Jeremiah Love available, you got Carnell Tate, you got Mekhi Lemon, you got Jordan Tyson available, you got Sonny Styles available. Who do you think they end up taking?
Damn, dude.
I'll tell you what I think in that exercise.
I'm thinking in that situation, I would probably go best player off the board.
I think they would take Sonny Styles there.
I was thinking Caleb Downs. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be cool if they took that, either one of them, if I was a Giants fan, honestly.
And by the way, the Giants, maybe they won't be taking Sonny Styles. The Giants are signing former Bears Pro Bowl linebacker Tremaine Edmonds to a 3-year contract worth $36 million.
Okay.
The Tennessee Titans, by the way, they're signing former Broncos defensive tackle John Franklin Myers to a 3-year deal worth $63 million, $42 million guaranteed. So that's the latest on these moves that have been happening in NFL free agency. I'll tell you who go ahead.
I was gonna say, does that make you kind of lean more towards Giants, thinking Jeremiah Love in that situation with that move, if he's there?
Yeah,
okay,
it does. And I know they have Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scattaboo. Who are you familiar with the Costco guys?
I guess not. No.
You don't know Big Boom AJ and Big Justice, that we bring the boom guys?
No.
Oh, well, it's this dad and his kid, and they just go, boom! We're Costco guys. Like the chicken bake gets a boom.
Okay.
The double chunk chocolate cookie gets a boom. And then they give out dooms if they don't like things. So I think they're Giant fans. They called him Cam Scatta Boom.
Okay.
So
I get that.
You go get Jeremiah Love. That dude definitely brings the boom a little bit more than Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scattaboo. So what I was gonna say though, when we get around the league, I love the Rams offseason so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else they're gonna do, but you go get Jalen Watson, who's a good corner. You go on out, and you also then trade for Trent McDuffie, and you pay him. Plus, with having Turner, Young, Verse, Quinnen Lake, and Braden Fisk, I love this Rams offseason. Because in the AFC, you could be a contender, and you don't have to be crazy right now because the AFC is wide open. In the NFC, it's a crazy race. Philly, the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, the Seahawks, obviously, the Rams. It is one 49ers. It is crazy how good the NFC is. So I look at the Rams. Their defense should have been better last year with the talent that they have. On offense, as long as Stafford's healthy, I'm not concerned. You got Kyron Williams. I know Schrager was throwing out there, keep an eye, or it was Olaski or Schrager, one of them. They said, keep an eye on Mike Evans potentially going to the Rams. He ends up signing with the 49ers. But you got Puka Nacua. You have also Devontae Adams. The Rams have a heck of a team. They had to flip a few other stones over, and they did that with their two players in the secondary. I like what the Rams have done a lot. The Rams and the Ravens so far, and I know that the Ravens lost Isaiah Likely. I know that the Ravens lost also Tyler Linderbaum. But for the Ravens to get Maxx Crosby, that gets a lot of people back in on the Ravens. And then for the Rams to go solidify that secondary and go get those two corners, I thought that was some great stuff by the Rams. The team whose offseason I like the most so far would have to be the LA Rams. Now, let's get to some other stories. We told you Isaiah Likely, 3 years, $40 million. But we got to a lot of these. Let me just give you some minor deals here. Rashawn Gary is going from the Packers to the Cowboys for a late round pick. I'll be curious where Trey Hendrickson goes. Nothing on Trey Hendrickson yet. There was a lot of smoke that maybe Trey Hendrickson would wind up with the Dallas Cowboys. So maybe the Cowboys aren't done. But I look at Tua Tagovailoa. Oh, I'll give you one more before I get to Tua Tagovailoa. Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Jets, and that's for a 7th-round pick, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick gets 3 years, $40 million. I don't know about you, and I know that the Dolphins are trimming a lot. Garrett, for the Dolphins to lose Minkah Fitzpatrick for only a 7th-round pick, and you trade him to a divisional rival, you couldn't get somebody else to bite. And I know that the Dolphins aren't in compete mode. I know they signed Malik Willis. You got Devon Achane, and you got Jalen Waddle. But that Dolphins team maybe at most is going to win 6 games.
Right.
So I understand getting rid of a player like Minkah Fitzpatrick. But to send him to the Jets for a 7th-round pick, I don't usually compliment the Jets much because they give me nothing to compliment them. That's a good move by the Jets in getting a veteran player like that in Minkah Fitzpatrick for a defense, by the way, that had 0 interceptions last year.
No, it really is. And I mean, they got to do something to fix that secondary. It was absolutely abysmal last year. I think the graphic that I saw was the funniest was Minkah Fitzpatrick, 1 interception, the Jets 0 all last year. So getting anybody to come in to help them is good. I think if you're the Dolphins, you probably could have got a little bit more out of him if you would have done your little more due diligence. But, I don't know all the process or the layers in the process with that. But, yeah, if you're the Jets, you got to be pretty good with bringing him over.
All righty. let me now get to Tua Tagovailoa. So he's getting released by the Miami Dolphins. No shocker whatsoever. Dolphins have already inked Malik Willis to a 3-year contract like we've been talking about. And the report that has emerged is that Tua, when 4 p.m. Eastern time happens on Wednesday and you have the new league year, he is going to sign with the Atlanta Falcons, and the Atlanta Falcons are going to pursue Tua Tagovailoa. Now, with the money that the Dolphins owe him, it's going to be a 1-year contract, I would imagine, on the veteran minimum for Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua is a player who I don't think has much football left in him. I am concerned about his body. I'm concerned about the injuries that he's suffered, and it's more than just the concussions. But even though I've been down and out on Tua, I don't think the Falcons are a bad destination for him to go to. If he's trying to extend his career, if he's trying to have this rebound and have this second chapter and get reinvigorated, I think Atlanta's a place that he could go have success in for a multitude of reasons, where I think this is a low risk, I'll say medium-sized reward for the Atlanta Falcons. But looking at it from the Tua perspective, you go to a division in the NFC South that is no good. You then have some weapons there in Bijan Robinson, in Drake London, in Kyle Pitts. And not only that, you go to a place where the quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., is coming off an injury. We don't know if he's going to be ready to start the season. And also, he may not be any good. He's also a lefty quarterback. You're a lefty quarterback. This will go one or two ways, where Tua Tagovailoa will be the starter come week 1 because Michael Penix Jr. is not ready to play. And then it's up to Tua to keep that job. Even when Michael Penix Jr. with the new regime coming in is ready to come back, they don't owe him anything. And if Tua plays well, then Tua keep the job. Or Michael Penix Jr. surprisingly is ready for week 1. He'll either get hurt because he's had, unfortunately, a multitude of injuries, going back to college and now bleeding over into the NFL, or there will be a moment where Michael Penix Jr. is just not that good, and Tua will get an opportunity to play at some point. So when you make the destination and your next destination, that determination on where you're going to go, it's not where you go play right away when you're a player that hasn't had that successful career. It's where can you try to position yourself to have a longer shelf life. And if you go to Atlanta, you may get that opportunity because Michael Penix Jr. may not be ready to go right away, or you stay there with Stefanski. You sit there, and eventually Michael Penix Jr. is either not going to play well or he's going to get hurt, and then they're going to give you a little sample size. They're going to give you a little opportunity to go somewhere and to go prove yourself that what happened at the end of Miami, you're better than, and you could go on to be a good quarterback in this league. So I am not a huge believer in Tua, but if, in fact, he signs with the Atlanta Falcons, I think it's a nice move and a nice decision by Tua Tagovailoa to go land in Atlanta. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. By the way, we have a poll question out there on our YouTube page, and we know that the Buffalo Bills kind of started all this mayhem by going out there and trading for DJ Moore for a second-round pick. Then the Ravens said, okay, we're going to one-up you. We need some help on defense. We're going to go trade 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. You're looking at an AFC where I don't know what to expect out of the Chiefs this year. I don't know how great the Broncos or the Chargers are. Are they ready to go win a Super Bowl? We'll see what the Patriots do. The AFC North, all right, that the Steelers are a good foe for the Ravens. But you look at this conference, it's there for the taking. And Josh Allen has been knocking on the door. Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs. He has not been able to defeat the Bills in the playoffs, nor the Kansas City Chiefs. But this is open. This is achievable if you're the Bills or the Ravens to actually do it this year. Where I know you've been close before, and we've seen the Ravens in an AFC championship game. We've seen Buffalo in a few AFC championship games, and you keep on coming up short. But you got to keep on getting off the mat, and you got to swing. And the Ravens and Bills have both made big swings to kick off the offseason. So now, who has more pressure on them? Is it Josh Allen or is it Lamar Jackson? Make sure you keep on voting on our poll question, and I will give you my answer by the time we do get off the air here in about 20 minutes or so. At Zach Gelb, Twitter and Instagram, ZACHGELB. Also on TikTok, at The Zach Gelb Show. Also, YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. Subscribe And I'm just taking a look at my TV right now. And no, you want to know what ESPN's doing? They had a replay of Adam Schefter breaking news earlier in the day as he's in Pat McAfee's headquarters, and he's there like locked in a room, just moving those thumbs as quickly as he can. I love Schefter. Schefter, very good dude, but we'll continue to monitor himself and then also Ian Rappaport, and we'll see what other news we could get to your way before we do end this show today, coming up in about 20 minutes from now. Zach Gelb here with you, 365 Sports. Take a final break of the day. Come on back after these short messages.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, it's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basic. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking forward to fishing season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transform by Core Home Fitness.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
The Cincinnati Bengals have made a move to help their defense. They bring in Brian Cook, the former member of the Kansas City Chiefs. He suffered a few injuries along his NFL career, but he's a solid player. It's a 3-year contract worth $40.25 million. That via Ian Rappaport, Mike Garofalo, and Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. Also, Jordan Schultz. The Broncos are re-signing running back J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins is having a career year for Denver before his injury, and he would have been back for the Super Bowl if Denver made it that far. Now he's back. Kind of seems like that's been the story of J.K. Dobbins' career. Really good player when he's on the field, but unfortunately, he does suffer a ton of injuries. So that's where we're at right now as we continue to update you going throughout all the day of reported news. Alec Pierce back with the Colts, $160 million over 4 years. Michael Pittman Jr. traded to the Steelers, then signs a 3-year extension worth $59 million. Malik Willis to the Dolphins, $67.5 million over 3 years, $45 guaranteed. Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs, 3-year contract, $45 million. Travis Etienne to the Saints on a 4-year deal. Maxx Crosby obviously going to the Ravens from the Raiders for 2 first-round picks. The Raiders then also did sign former Raven Tyler Lindenbaum on that offensive line. It's a 3-year contract, $81 million, $60 guaranteed. Tua is expected to sign with the Falcons come Wednesday. He was released. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the Dolphins traded him to the Jets. Just some of the notable moves that did happen today in the NFL as we just continue to go through them. I'll tell you 3 that still remain to me, Garrett, and I'm curious where you stand on this one.
What you got?
Trey Hendrickson, A.J. Brown, and Brian Thomas Jr. Trey Hendrickson, the last few years, has had to deal with the Bengals and how cheap they are. Last year went through the whole situation, with the franchise tag. They ended up tagging him again. I don't think he's going back to Cincinnati. He's getting up there, though, in age. He's a really good player, though, that did come on later on towards his time in New Orleans, and he's had some really good seasons with Cincinnati Bengals. It's time for him to move off of Cincinnati. But you look around, and you've seen the movement. Crosby was the big fish. He goes to the Ravens. Hendrickson's still there. You look at a team like the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys traded for Rashawn Gary. They got Kenneth Clark on that defensive line. But if I'm a team like Dallas, and you could maybe dress this up for a 3-year deal where the total number is fine, but the guarantee isn't that great, I still think a team like Dallas should be all in on Trey Hendrickson.
Honestly, I'm surprised that Dallas didn't pull the trigger by now. I thought that was going to be one of the moves that we saw come down the ticker pretty early on, was Trey Hendrickson going to the Cowboys. But them making the move they did earlier, I wonder how much does that play into their decision on him, or if there's still room to bring him in. I think there still is. Also, I mean, like, maybe Washington gets in the mix. There's some other teams out there. I don't see him going back to Cincinnati, though, at all. But I am shocked that he's not in Dallas right now. As far as like A.J. Brown, I'm interested to see like what – I still think it's probably by a Wednesday where we hear something on him. I don't
know.
You think it's going to go longer?
Well, so I'll circle back on A.J. Brown in just a second to give you that explanation. The Patriots earlier today, they signed Jermont Jones to a 3-year deal worth $39.5 million. So I don't know if the Patriots will be in on Trey Hendrickson, but you look around the other teams that I think could potentially be interested. It wouldn't shock me if the Rams, if they could get him on the cheap, and maybe you just give him a fat 2-year contract, or, I'm not, when I say on the cheap, I mean, in terms of years, if you could just load up a 2-year contract and maybe it's, after 1 year you can get out of it. Maybe a team like the Rams ends up giving him that. Buffalo, I would be trying to go make a move for Trey Hendrickson. So I look at it, and the point I'm getting here is you would assume the market would be robust for him.
Right.
I don't know how robust it's going to be. Patriots, Bills, possibilities. The Ravens just got Crosby, so no. You look inside the AFC South, like, could Indy or the Texans do it? I guess the Texans don't need it, though. They have those two monsters.
Right.
So does maybe go to Kansas City on a 2-year deal? I guess that's plausible. Like, I'm just trying to think where he could go. Outside of Dallas, and the Rams don't need to do it, but Dallas, the Rams, maybe he goes to Detroit and you can line up across Aiden Hutchinson.
Ooh, yeah.
There's not that many obvious destinations here. So maybe with the mess that he's been through for the last 2-3 years, he goes, all right, it's not biting the way that I thought it was going to bite, but I'm not just going to go rush the sign.
Right.
I still thought there was a lot of smoke with Hendrickson to the Cowboys. And since they didn't get Crosby, where there was a lot of smoke that they were going to get Crosby too, and I think they offered him like a first and a second or whatever it was, I would still think that Hendrickson to the Cowboys would still be my guess there. Now, to the A.J. Brown point,
right?
This seems as if it's one team that's in on him, and it's the Patriots. I know the Chargers were rumored, but it seems the team that's had the most interest and the most intense interest has been the Patriots. So the Patriots, right, there was that one report they offered a 1 and a 3, I think it was, from Anthony Gargano.
Yeah.
So if they didn't take a 1 and a 3, then what do they want? And another report emerged, I think it was Justina Anderson who said it's a 1 and a 2 that Howie Roseman wants. I think A.J. Brown's a heck of a player. A 1 and a 2?
No.
For A.J., I want the Patriots to go get A.J. Brown. I give a 1 and a 3, but a 1 and a 2 when there's not that much of a market for this guy, it just doesn't. If he wants to go to New England and New England wants him, like, what are we doing?
That's a good point.
A 1 and a 3. If that's the offer, a 1 and a 3, that's fair. This deal should be done, unless if Howie really doesn't want to trade him, and he's listening, and he goes, "We don't need to trade him. We could run it back and see if you could get him and Jalen Hurts on the same page," which I wouldn't count on. You still got Devontae Smith. I don't know where Dallas Goedert's going to go. That's also something to monitor. And, you got Saquon Barkley. So it's like they got a lot of talent there. I think put it this way, it would not shock me if this lingers longer than what we expect.
Okay.
Because what could the Patriots have said if they said, we're not going to give you a 1 and a 2 before today? Oh, well, we're in on Alec Pierce.
Right,
well, Alec Pierce went back to Indianapolis on a 4-year deal worth $116 million. So when that happens, then what else can you say now to Philadelphia on what you could potentially do, unless if you're just going to run it back without Stephon Diggs there now? Mm-hmm. Well, you could say, well, we're talking to the Jaguar, or we're talking to another team about trading for a wide receiver. That could be Brian Thomas Jr. And quite frankly, with Brian Thomas Jr. being on a rookie deal, one really good year, a second year that was not great, I'd be okay giving the 31st overall pick for Brian Thomas Jr. if that's the alternative. But if Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't get traded, and that's via trade, not free agency, then what are they going to do? Like, can you find a receiver at 31 in the draft? Yes. As a Patriot fan, I've seen them try to draft a lot of wide receivers in the first and second round, and more so the second round. It's been a disaster. And I know that was Bill, and it was a different regime, and you go through N'Keal Harry, Chad Jackson, you name them. I've seen the Patriots mess it up at that position. Jalen Polk. So it's like, I don't know the leverage the Patriots have.
Right.
But then the Eagles, this guy's been a problem in your locker room. Do you want him back? So a 1 and a 3 is fair. It's more than fair. So I could see this lingering out. And as you get, I don't know if it's closer to the draft.
Right.
But if this doesn't happen by 4 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, when the new league year does open up, it wouldn't shock me if this goes down, the can gets kicked down the road, and then these conversations get reignited closer to the draft.
Do you see a scenario now with the move of Mike Evans leaving Tampa where the Bucs would get in on A.J. Brown or kick the tires?
No. Because you got Chris Godwin, who you just paid last offseason, and you drafted Emeka Egbuka,
right,
who was looking like he was going to be the offensive rookie of the year before he suffered that injury in the middle of the season. So I would say no on that front with Tampa Bay. So a 1 and a 3 seems fair to me. And I don't really understand the holdup. So Trey Hendrickson is a name to keep, is one to keep an eye on. A.J. Brown is another one. And then Brian Thomas Jr. I saw that there was one article where the Jets have had interest in him. Mm-hmm. And if the Jets go get Brian Thomas Jr., now they don't have a quarterback.
No.
I'm going to assume now Geno Smith winds up with the Jets. When I heard that a few days ago that Geno Smith and the Jets had interest, I go, you really want to go back to New York, Geno?
Right,
I know you're with the Jets and the Giants, but you got away from the crap that was the Jets. I know it's a totally different regime. Aaron Glenn, who's a joke. Darren Muji, who's done a good job with nothing really, and turning, at least giving the Jet fan a hope with 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years of what they've been able to do. But bringing in Geno Smith isn't the worst thing in the world. But if you're a fan of the Jets, you got Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall's tweeting up a storm. He's not happy. He goes, look at all this money the Jets are handing out to Mario Davis, other guys today. He goes, where's my money? As he got hit by the franchise tag. It's something along the lines of that he did tweet out. So there's always drama with the Jets. But you got Garrett Wilson. If you could go get Brian Thomas Jr. and Garrett Wilson plus, and let's say you have to give up a 1 for Brian Thomas Jr., or maybe it's just a 2. You got all this draft capital. Mm-hmm. So even if you had to give up a 1, you would still have 4 first-round draft picks. If you don't have to give up a 1, you get Brian Thomas Jr. Let's say you give up a second, you still have 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years. The Jets, I don't think they should take a quarterback this year in the first round. I would not take Ty Simpson at 16. I would imagine at 2, they're probably going Arvell Reese or David Bailey would be my guess. But you could start to bring in some young players here. And for a quarterback, when you take one next year, if they walk in with Garrett Wilson and then also Brian Thomas Jr., if they can trade for Brian Thomas Jr. Plus, I don't know what Mason Taylor is going to be the tight end, but he had a solid season this year, and he's thought to be a good player. His father is Jason Taylor. I look at that. You got some pieces to build something with.
No, you do. I don't know if I trust the Jets to make a smart move. That's why I'd be hesitant on that.
I will say, and I say same old Jets more than anybody, and they still got to make these draft picks right. They went from no hope to getting rid of Quinton Williams, who's a good player, Sauce Gardner, who's overrated, and they found a way to get 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years. I don't think Glenn has a chance of succeeding.
Right.
I do not believe in the head football coach. The GM, if this GM can actually draft decently, they have a chance to be competent. And that's how bad it's been with the Jets. The longest playoff drought out of all the teams in the NFL right now. That's how bad it's been for the Jets, where they just got to be competent.
No, I totally get that. But I guess from my perspective, if I was Brian Thomas Jr., like I would do everything I could to avoid going to the Jets.
Yeah.
Like look, even if you sold me on 1 year with Geno, you know it's going to be a complete rebuild after that. Do I really want to bank my career? But the younger part
could be Arch Manning.
Yeah, it could be. But even still, like, is Arch guaranteed to come in
No.
and light it up? Like, no. So if I'm Brian Thomas Jr. and I've still got the prime of my career right now, if I'm making a move and I have any sway on it whatsoever, I'm going to a quarterback who can get close out.
But here's the problem. At least assessing the situation from afar. And I'm not a big believer in Trevor Lawrence anymore. The Jaguars were just in the playoffs. He didn't have this great season. He wasn't bad, but he didn't have this great season like he did 2 years ago. Why is he unhappy right now in Jacksonville?
That's a good point.
Jacksonville's not a bad situation to be in. So I don't know what his priorities are, but it seems like the team doesn't love him, and it seems like he doesn't love the team. Now, he goes to New England.
Good enough. He's also, in my opinion, like he's not good enough to be having those type of sways.
Yeah, he may not be Jamar Chase. He may not be Malik Neighbors, but that rookie season he had, he was dynamite. He was
good.
Damn good.
No, he's damn good. Like he's better than, in my opinion, coming out of LSU. And like right now, he's better than Keyshawn Butte, like without a doubt. In my opinion,
that's not saying much though.
No, it's not saying much. But like I don't think maybe the tier or the expectations. I think he's good, but he's not up there with Jefferson. He's not up there with Chase. But he's going to be really good. I think I need to see more from him, and before I could bank on like how great are the expectations he could really be.
But what I'm saying is, if you're the Jets or the Patriots, and you could get him for a second-round pick for a wide receiver in his first year, who put up almost 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. And last year, what wasn't a great year, it was 48 receptions, 707 yards, and 14 games played and 2 touchdowns. If I'm the Patriots, I would give that up. And you get Drake May, get a number one weapon in Brian Thomas Jr., and you just hope that he has more of the first year than it was the second year. So I'd be curious what happens with these three guys. And I don't know if we'll get any clarity soon on A.J. Brown. I don't know if we'll get any clarity soon on Brian Thomas Jr. But Trey Hendrickson, you'll know by the latest at Wednesday. And I would still tend to think that he's going to stay with the, he's going to sign with the Dallas Cowboys. Do we have the results on the poll question? Just wondering. Who is under more pressure to reach a Super Bowl this year? Is it Lamar Jackson or is it Josh Allen? This one's tough because Lamar's won 2 MVPs, has not defeated Josh Allen nor Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. Then I look at Josh Allen. He's done everything he can besides defeat the Kansas City Chiefs when it matters, but Kansas City didn't make the playoffs last year, and he had a horrible playoff game, and he ended up losing to the Denver Broncos, and if they would have won that game, they probably end up going to the Super Bowl. I look at this right now. You could go either way, and you could make the case that who knows with the way that Lamar plays and the injuries Lamar suffered, how many more elite years Lamar has. And I think the world of Lamar Jackson. I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan, and I have been ever since he's been at Louisville. But I'm going to say it's on Josh Allen. And I know that Lamar and John Harbaugh didn't have the greatest relationship, but Sean McDermott is out. Josh Allen and Sean McDermott weren't on the same page. They go on out there. They get DJ Moore. You got James Cook. I look at Buffalo with the AFC being more wide open as Buffalo with how they've been that number 2 with Kansas City for the most of it outside of last year being the number 1. I still think there's more pressure on Josh Allen, but there's the 2 quarterbacks with the most amount of pressure going into the season. It's not even close. It's Josh Allen and it's Lamar Jackson. And the AFC, one of those 2 quarterbacks, whether it's Josh or Lamar, one of them better find a way to get to the Super Bowl this year. The Patriots just got there. Who knows if they'll be back? The Steelers, I know they got Michael Pittman Jr. today to add with DK Metcalf, but they haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season. You look at the AFC South, like the Texans are a fine team. The Jaguars, I have some skepticism on them. In the AFC West, Herbert has never won a playoff game yet. The Broncos are really good, but can they be great? I know Bo Nix got hurt in that win up against the Bills and then wasn't available for the AFC Championship game. And Kansas City should rebound and they'll be better, but they've lost a lot in their defense. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I know we've been saying this for a while, but now it's truly your time. And I'm not like, you may not win the Super Bowl, but either Lamar or Josh Allen better get to the Super Bowl this year. But 65% say Josh Allen, 35% end up saying Lamar Jackson. And that will do it for a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. Big thanks to Garrett Ross. Big thanks to Andrew Valade and each and every one of you for helping produce this program today back in our Waco, Texas studios. I'm Zach Gelb here in New York City. Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in to us live today on YouTube, youtube.com/@365SportsYT. Subscribe. You can follow me Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB, and also on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. We will talk to you tomorrow, everybody, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. The Zach Gelb Show is live from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central, right here on 365 Sports. Have a great day, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.